Hello bros, and welcome to Effect Zero, Profile Production, and the first part is Sakura Forest Girls. So, this is the first part of Sakura Forest Girls then, so let's jump straight into it. I'm dreaming. I know it's a dream, but it's a pleasant nonetheless. In my dreams I see us as we used to be 3 years ago. I'm there smiling, and so is Ayana. We're both embracing our dear friend Coco, who's laughing happily. I begin to laugh too, and Ayana soon joins in. It's strange to see Ayana laughing. She doesn't do it very often. She's a serious girl, not cold exactly, but awkward. Her lips are usually drawn into a frown, and her blue eyes are cool. I try to make her smile, but I don't always succeed. Coco was always better at making Ayana laugh than I was. As for myself, I laugh pretty often. It's rare to see me without a smile, even now. My parents have always told me since childhood that I'm too flippant. They say I don't take life seriously enough. Personally, I think they take life too seriously. But they never once appreciated it when I told them that. My parents lectured me a lot when I was a child. I glower at them. My expressions surely they complained about my unfair treatment of Ayana. She listened to all of my complaints without demur, and tried to advise me as best she could. Her advice typically amounted to don't antagonize your parents, which, though perfectly sensible, I never quite took to heart. Coco always more direct when I groused to her. You got to learn to behave, Yaya. The village chief says he should honor our parents, not fight with them. Your mother and father might scold you, but that's only because they care. Coco's always been more level-headed than me. I argue with her on occasion, but our fights never lasted long. Ayana was there to intervene in the gentle manner of hers, and in any case we were too close to properly fight. The three of us lived together in a quiet, peaceful village deep in the forest. Ayana, Coco, and we were good friends, best friends in fact, and we were inseparable. We'd known one another since we were small children, and we vowed we would always stay together. That was that that was what we intended, until the monsters appeared. Children were roused from their beds. They started crying, afraid. The adults, including my parents and Coco's, took up their weapons and drove the monster away, but they couldn't defeat the strange enemies. The monsters were like nothing I ever seen before. The bodies were green and sticky and gelatinous, a bit like mud, but transparent. They weren't like wolves or bears. They weren't normal by any measure. They must have been summoned by magic. I think somebody sent these creatures to attack our village, though I have no idea who would do such a thing or why. Perhaps it was the work of a witch. In any event, our village was soon ransacked by creatures. Our crops were ruined, our cattle eaten, or our homes ruined. In the chaos we all fled. My parents dragged me along with them, and for days we lived in the fort. It wasn't until a week after the attack that we dared to return to our village. The village had been damaged, but it wasn't irreparable. With the help of our neighbors, we set up to work sowing our fields and rebuilding our homes. Slowly but surely, our lives returned to normal. But nothing was the same after that. Some families never returned to our village after the attack, and Coco's was among them. It's been 3 years since then, and I've not seen her. I have no idea where she went, or what she's doing, or if she's alright. That's why Ayana and I set out on a journey when we both turned 21. We now regard us as adults by the laws of our village, which means we can leave its walls. Ayana and I received permission from our village chief to search for Coco, and that's what we're doing. We will find Coco again, no matter the cost, and the three of us will be reunited. Ayana and I have never traveled this far from our village before. The journey has been a rocky one, and I'm sure we face many more trials yet. Finding Coco won't be an easy challenge, but I won't give up. I'm prepared to do anything to find her again. I open my eyes groggily, then blink, wiping sleep from my eyes. I went to sleep pretty early last night when the first stars began to appear in the sky, but I still feel exhausted. It feels like I haven't gotten any rest. It's with some difficulty that I sit up. My limbs feel stiff and cumbersome, and I have to stretch them to restore some of the feeling back to my body. The dream stays with me long after waking. I can't stop thinking about Coco. Coco. I mumble her name under my breath, as though it might bring her back. Of course it doesn't. My best efforts are in vain. I have no idea where she is, but with some luck Ayana and I should be able to find some clues. Ayana and I have been searching for the trace of Coco's whereabouts for about 2 months. We departed from our village after saying goodbye to our relatives and set off into the big wide world, with only the clothes on our back and some provisions to sustain us. We slept under the stars during the first couple of weeks of our journey and hunted for food to survive. We all hunted for food. Ayana is a gentle girl and she doesn't have much experience with weapons nor the wherewithal to use them. When we eventually arrived at the village, we took shelter amongst its people. We slept in tents and asked its residents if they knew anything about Coco or her family. Ayana and I had hoped Coco would be living in a nearby village, but our questions were in vain. We were unable to find any trace of her. One of the villagers suggested that we might have more luck asking a mage for help. Apparently a well-known witch lives deep in the forest. She is revered and respected as she is feared, and according to local legends she has a penchant for helping pretty girls. Her home is located atop a cliff which overlooks a village left abandoned for several years after it was attacked by strange monsters. Few people have actually seen the witch, but the tales of her abound. Her reputation really does precede her. I'm not sure if she is actually a person of imaginary figment, but the villager I questioned sounded certain of her existence. This helpful villager drew Ayana and I a rough map to the abandoned village and to the cliff where the witch lives. They were awfully eager to aid us, which I appreciate. The world might be a vast place full of uncertainty, but there's a lot of kind people out there. Ayana and I departed the village a couple of weeks ago, and since then we have been looking for the abandoned village. We walked for hours on end, sleeping beneath the stars and eating fish skewered by a spear. It took a long time, but we finally reached our destination. Our village could hardly be called welcoming. A few tents still stand where I presume families would have slept, but most of the tents lie in collapsed heaps upon the ground, half overgrown with grass. The remaining tents lean awkwardly. Some have holes in the roof, but they're still fit for human habitation. People could return here if they wished and start anew, but nobody has. Ayana and I scoured this village upon arriving here, but we didn't find anybody else. This place is deserted. Something cataclysmic must have happened here to drive every last one of its people away. My own village was attacked, but we were able to rebuild it. These people, however, never tried. They're all up and left, or many of leaving their possessions behind. I'd like to know what it was that scared these people so. Maybe it was the same monsters that attacked our village. The witch who supposedly dwells on the cliffside might know something about it. Did she send nice monsters to attack my village? This village? It's not impossible. But I have no way of knowing that. I don't even know if this witch exists or not yet. First we need to find the witch. Everything else can fall into place after that. At least I hope it will. The cliffs are quite a walk away. We still got a bit left to go. But it should be alright. I'm not alone. I know Ayana will support me. We confront the witch in her home and we get to tell us where Coco is. Then we finally have something to go off on. We won't have to wander aimlessly anymore. We can do this. I believe in us. I plunged my fist into the air, wide-eyed and eager. It'd be nice if somebody could follow up my proclamation with a well-timed, "I believe in you, you can do it," but all I can hear is the wind. I guess that's to be expected. Ayana still asleep, curled up by my side among her pilfered blankets. She looks serene with her white eyelashes matted, though an anxious person, the creases in her brows smooth out when she's sleeping. I survey her for a few moments, a small smile on my face. I should probably stop talking to myself. Ayana would freak out if she could hear me. If I want to talk to her, I should wake her up first. If I don't shake her away, she'll sleep for hours and hours. Honestly. Agreed. She's definitely not a morning person. She never caught it as a hunter. I pull my daily attire out of my own undergarments and tie my ponytail. Then I shuffle over to Ayana's side. Hey Ayana, are you alright this morning? Wakey wakey. What? Ayana blinks and her pale eyelashes trembling and then looks up at me. Her voice thick with sleep, she mumbles. Yeah? That's me. Who else would it be? Now come on, get up. We have a busy day ahead of us. Okay. Ayana yawns so widely I can see her molars. Then pulls herself into some semblance of a sitting position. And that's the first picture. Actually, I already did this part because for some reason my mic was turned off. So, but now it's on, so... Well, my mic was turned off, so I have to redo it. So, that was all I have for Sakura Forest Girls. This time, that's Hill and Shred. See you next time. Bye-bye!